So, I have gotten to tillering the bow, and well, this is basically it. It's a little bit improvising for me anyway, and making a lot of stuff myself, and making a lot of assumptions. Basically what it means is, tillering anyway, is that you want to balance each of these arms so that they bend in the same way as each other. So one arm cannot be thicker or stronger than another, because that would mean that your arrow would get like slinged in a weird way. Not good generally. You want them as equal as possible. And it's not really a science, it's more of like a feel thing. You have to like feel where the bends are. For instance, right now I think that from here to here there is a bit of like a flat spot, so I will take a pencil and on the back side I will make a few scratches, and that will dictate where I have to scrape later on. Normally it's better to take a little bit of distance. Yeah, right now I'm happy with just scraping this specific part. And once that is done, I will probably try to pull it a little bit more even, and then see what that brings me. So yeah, yeah, there we go. I will be scraping a little bit, and when I'm done, actually no, I will show you how the scraping works, and then I will show you what the difference is. Okay, so scraping the bow. Normally I use mostly this thing, which I already showed you, which is a spoke shave. But at this stage in tillering, this actually removes too much material. It's too easy to fuck up, and that's when I switch over to this. I don't technically know what the name is for this in English, but translated from Dutch you would call this a scraping steel or scraping iron, and it's literally just a card of spring steel, like hard steel. I make one myself here. This is just like an old saw blade, just a normal hand saw, like thin and springy steel that you can easily get into shape. And well, you do sharpen it sort of by just making it square, but it doesn't have like a cutting, but it's more like, well, you literally scrape with it. You literally like here, I need to scrape from here to here. So what I do is, some people do it like this, and I believe that's the way you should do it. If I want to remove a little bit more material, I can scrape like this. I can put a little bit more pressure on it sometimes. It depends really. If my scraping steel is sharp, it works a little bit different than if it gets a little bit more blunt. And like you can see, you still remove like nice curls. I don't know how well that shows on the video, but yeah. Anyway, I do that for a bit. Just remove a few curls. And especially at this stage, you don't want to go too far. And it is kind of like, for me anyway, this is really weird, but to work on this is kind of like therapeutic or something. It gets you in a sort of trance, and you just want to keep going. And mistakes are very easily made. So few more scrapes, then I'm happy, hopefully. And the funny thing is, this was actually what was used before people actually invented sandpaper, for a large part anyway. There are historical, there is historical evidence of people using sandpaper. For instance, in Japan, I believe they used shark skin or manta ray skin to sand stuff. Like that has a very sandpapery consistency, and also just using like different types of like, well, just sand or like mud with like rags or something. I don't know exactly how they did it, but that's kind of the idea of like sanding something, but like with literal sand instead of just like one paper thing with one side of sand. So, but this was also one thing that they used, and it actually works really nice. It's extremely simple. It doesn't wear out quite as fast, and it removes material way faster than a normal sanding, a piece of sandpaper. I will say though, I'm going with the grain right now, and it works really well for that, but I doubt that it would. Sorry, I felt a little bit of. There we go. Now it's flat. If you go against the grain, for instance, or if you go sideways to the grain, or if you are going on top of the end grain or something, I think it will work way less. Like over here, it kind of works, but it doesn't really remove like nice curls. It just removes dust, basically. But you do get a very clean surface from it, actually. It's smoother than normal sandpaper, to be honest. It's weird. It's like you're basically cutting it, and this one is getting dull, by the way. I do kind of need to sharpen this again. And yes, you do need to sharpen them. At least I'm told that you need to. Basically sanding, like you basically just sand them flush with like some kind of very flush thing, like sandpaper on like very fine sandpaper on like some kind of glass or something, and then you just sand it, and that will mean that the edges of this plate, because it is just a plate of steel, right? And the edges of this plate will become just 90 degrees, but very sharp 90-degree folds. And if you've ever worked with steel, 90 degrees on steel, if it's like a sufficient nice cut, right? If it's a nice crisp fold, right? That's more than enough to actually cut yourself on if you don't wash out. This has become a little bit, well, a lot of it dull, I guess. And this is something that I made myself. There's a little bit of a curve, like an interior curve here. So that's good for like this, because you can remove like curves. If you have like sharp edges, you can remove them and you get something. Here we go. This is also a shape that you see a lot, but honestly it's really nice to just have this material. I could see probably like in the old days people would have like a lot of these cards, maybe even bigger, and they would make their own like shapes that they would need, like with the specific roundness and the specific shapes that they need and the ones that they liked. So yeah. But these two are very simple. I bought these in the store. These are kind of the basic shapes, and then this is just a broken saw blade, like I said. So yeah, and this works fine, honestly. There is like a lacquer on it, which I kind of do need to remove, which is annoying. And there's like some very annoying stickers on it that I need to remove. But once that is done, it will be more than sufficient for using as a scraper. This is one of those techniques that I really like to work with because, like I said, it's kind of therapeutic, just like this. People don't use them anymore that much anyway these days, I believe. And on bows, apparently, it works really well. I'm not quite sure how well it works on other things, but on bows, yeah, I would definitely recommend using these. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna put it back on the tillering stick, bank, thing, whatever you call it. And let's see if this flat spot that I had over here, let's see if that got any rounder, any more round, any more bendy. Whatever, that, you know what I mean, I hope. If not, okay. So, here I am again, and this here is the area that I just scraped. And as you can see, it has, well, I don't actually know how much you can see of this. I mean, cameras do tend to distort like these kind of things a little bit. So maybe it's more visible. You also see that sometimes on cameras. I don't know. Maybe it's not visible at all. But basically it's more bended here. But now I have a little bit of a flat spot here. So I will mark that again. And the further you get down the limb, the more you need to take caution, because like if you remove like 1 millimeter of material here, that's only, let's say, like 1%. But if you remove a millimeter over here, thickness isn't actually that much more, but this gets wider. So over here, the bow is a little bit more less sturdy. Well, not necessarily less sturdy. It's less thick. So if you remove 1 millimeter of material here, it's going to bend here, and probably way too much, and it's going to break. So you probably should remove as little as possible material. So yeah. The other side, let's see. A little bit distance. No, I don't necessarily see. It's a little bit hard to see sometimes, honestly. I think I have a little bit of a flat spot here as well. And I pretty much always have a little bit of a flat spot here at the ends. So let's remove some material there. And how is that on this side? I can remove a little bit there as well. But that's only like a little touch up. You don't really want this area to bend too much because there's a lot of laminate going on here, and you don't really want that to delaminate. The same goes for this. This is the area that you have your hand in, so you want that to be stable as possible. So from here to here, pretty much shouldn't bend pretty much at all. You can get away with a little bit of bend there, but absolutely this area should be absolutely rock solid. It should be absolutely not bending at all. So yeah, I will scrape and then I will see. So that is tillering. I think I'm actually quite happy with it now. If looked at from a distance, one can judge it better. But it seems like it's relatively okay. So yeah, I think I'll keep it like this. And now I can start finishing the bow. So yeah, I will do that, but that will probably be the next video. Bye.